Good morning. Welcome to Peace Out, where we are all learning together to just peace out. And I've been practicing this morning. How about you? I mean, I'm telling you, my brain is just all over the place. Yeah, today's not any different than any other day, is it? My brain's always that way. I should be used to it by now, but I'm not, right? Anyway, so I've been practicing. Reel it in and trust God. Reel that thought in and trust God. Reel it in and trust God. Maybe we should just talk about that, but we're not going to. Before I get too far into it, let's talk about the book of the week. This week is The Making of a Leader, which is a leadership. It's a book for leadership, for a leader. From a Christian perspective, we look at four different leaders in the Bible and then different passages that can be easily applied to the leader's life. It's very good for individual study, but it's good for groups. It can be used. All of my study guides are that way. They're really good if you just want to sit down with it and study it yourself, or they can be used in a group if you wanted to do that. They're all available on Amazon. I'm working on getting them on Barnes & Noble, but I've hit a glitch, and I'll be redoing my website. It's not going to have my books on it. It's just going to have links to some other things. So anyway, making some changes and moving forward. Isn't that what it's all about? It's just adapting to what we need to do for the day, right? And for the future. So we're excited that this one is in its fourth printing in Pakistan. It's been translated to Urdu, and it's in its fourth printing now. When we get these 300 copies, 1,800 copies of just this book have been translated into, and then those will be circulated into to Pakistani Christians and churches. And we can't keep these in print, so we're going to have to print another 500 here pretty soon. We've got 4 other books that we've printed and 2 that have been translated, ready for print, but we're taking it a little piece at a time, and as God provides it, then we do it. We're trying not to get ahead of Him. We're trying to learn how to wait. We're learning how to peace out and let God provide for the ministry in Pakistan there. So if you want more information, I am starting a newsletter that will have updates and what all's going on with those our ministries and some different things. So it's exciting, and that's why my brain's going everywhere. Right? I'm having to reel it back in, and that's okay. So yesterday we were in Hebrews, and I just kind of kept reading in Hebrews, right? And this morning I just kind of parked here. Now, if you've watched me at all, or for very long or very often, you know that I often read till I find something that just grabs me off the page, and then I just camp there. I'm not stuck on reading so many chapters a day or so many verses a day. I would rather read one verse that I can apply, one verse that I can meditate all day and absorb it. David said, "Your word I've hidden in my heart so that I don't sin against you." I'd rather take one verse and hide it in my heart and apply it to my day, apply it to my mind, apply it to my life, and live it out, walk it out, than to read 900 chapters and not really retain any of it, right? So I camped out here. So I thought about it a little while too. In chapter 13, it says, in verse 5, it actually starts with this: stay away from the love of money, be satisfied with what you have. That would be a teachable topic, right? For God has said this. Whoever wrote Hebrews, most think it was Paul. I have my doubts, but most think it's Paul. And anyway, whoever the author of Hebrews is finishing out the letter, and he's just throwing a whole bunch of things out there. Give honor to marriage, remain faithful to one another, stay away from the love of money, right? And then he says this: He satisfies you with what you have, for God has said this: I will never fail you, I will never forsake you. That is why we can say with confidence, not just reiterate, not just repeat, but say with confidence in our hearts, the Lord is my helper, so I will not be afraid. What can mere mortals do to me? What can men do to me? But I want to pull this part out that says, I will never fail you, I will never forsake you. That's the last part of verse 5 in Hebrews 13. And I thought about that a while. I thought, He won't leave me, He won't fail me, and He won't forsake me. We talk a lot about God can't leave us. He literally doesn't have the capacity to leave us because He is everywhere all at the same time. So even if He tried to leave, He would still be here and He would be there, and He didn't leave someplace because He's everywhere. He's omnipresent. He's present everywhere. He literally doesn't have the capacity to leave us. However, this says He won't forsake us. And so I started thinking about it. I was meditating. I was like, God, is that different than just leaving us? Because it's important to me to know that God doesn't leave me when things get difficult. God doesn't say, "Oh, well, I'm not going through this trial with you. I don't know what you're going to do. That's too hot for me. It's too much of a flood for me. It's too complicated for me. It's too complex. It's too multi-layered. It's too anything. It's too little for me. He could even say that. It's too little. If you can't handle that, I don't know what you could do. No, he doesn't say that, and he doesn't leave us. But the forsake part, I started thinking, have you ever had somebody with you that wasn't really present with you, right? Somebody's sitting with you, maybe talking with you, or maybe they're traveling with you, but you can tell they're disconnected. They're not really there with you mentally. They're not really connected with you emotionally. They're just present, but they're not really there. They're not really invested. They're not really contributing, right? And I thought, I'm so glad this says that God said he will never forsake you, because that would be different than just leaving in my mind. Because people can say they're with you, but not really be with you. God's with us. There's no doubt about that. But he's also connected with us, right? He's emotionally invested, if that's the kind of a new term I've been talking about lately. It's being emotionally invested in something, in a circumstance, or with a person, or with a whatever, TV show. You can be emotionally invested in that even so, right? Because you get connected to it. You understand a character and you go, man, I so identify. God identifies with us. He doesn't just walk with us. He's investing in us, right? And he's walking. He's more than just present. He is present. That's a good thing. But he's actually connected with us even in our trial. When Jesus came walking on the water, he could have waited till the storm stopped. He could have said, I'm not investing that much in these guys. I'll go around to the other side, or I can just transport myself and be on the other side when they get there. But he walked out to them in the middle of the storm. And there's nothing like a storm to reveal who your real friends are. There's nothing like the storms of life and the struggles of life to reveal who your friends are. But you know what? I got to give this to Job's friends. Now, they messed up once they started talking. They should have just sat there quiet, right? But when Job's friends came to him, they came, and his pain was so deep, they didn't have words. And for them, that was a really good, safe place to be. And for Job, that was better, right? But they were overcome with grief for their friend. They felt it. They just sat down and mourned with him without speaking for 7 days. Never said a word. They didn't even recognize him. He was so sick. He was so frail. He had boils on his body. He was in such a horrible state. And their grief was so deep. All they did was sit there, but they were connected, right? They didn't sit there and think about how they were going to go home and spend money. They didn't think about what they were going to do on the way home. They didn't think about, tomorrow I'm going to go get coffee with that person, or I'm going to go do it. They were invested, and they just sat there for 7 days. They were with Job. Now, after they started talking, trying to figure it all out, that's where the holes came in their plot, in their plan, right? But they were invested. They just sat there with him for 7 days, and they weren't somewhere else in their mind, as far as we know, right? And that's how God is. God's more than present. He's connected to us. He comes to us in the middle of the storm. He doesn't wait. He didn't say, well, I'm going to wait till this is all bitter, because, right? He's with us. With what we face, no matter what we're facing, he is with us. He's connected to us. He's not going to forsake us emotionally, mentally, physically. He is invested in us. And that's what I love about God, is he's not just standing over there watching and saying, I don't know how it's going to turn out. I don't know what you're going to do. But he's actually with us. He's that shepherd that's with that sheep that snags it from the mouth of the lion or the bear. He's that one that leads us by still waters. He shows us how to let peace reign in our heart. He shows us how to walk through the struggles of life and how to come through them victoriously, because then that's our part, is to stay hidden in him, right? But he's not going to forsake us. He's not going to be with us but not be present mentally and invested, right? I'm so glad that we've got a God that isn't afraid of life. He's not afraid of circumstances. He's not afraid of lions' dens. He's not afraid of floods. He's not afraid of fires. He's not afraid of anything. He's invested in us, and he's with us and connected with us. That's the thing. He could have just been God and been out there and gone, okay, I made y'all, and let's just see how this turns out. But he's connected with us. He feels us. He has empathy. He has compassion. His mercies are new every morning, and he did that just for us. And that's why I can peace out. Peace out, you guys. God is with you and He won't forsake you. He'll be with you through and through, all the way through, right? Have a great weekend. I will see you bright and early Monday morning. I'll be there Monday morning. Have a great weekend.